What's going on, guys? It's your boy Panda here, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we're going to talk about probably one of the most hot topics when it comes to Modern Warfare 3, and it's skill-based matchmaking. So during the PlayStation beta, I made an entire video that was pretty simplified talking about skill-based matchmaking, and I told everyone that we'll do a second one that's a follow-up when we have a wider player pool and more people touching the game, because it would have been pretty inconclusive to test any kind of theories when it was just PlayStation, because that's just a small amount of players. Now, when it came to the second weekend, upon the open beta for everyone on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, I was able to test a lot more when it came to skill-based matchmaking, and the things I was finding were definitely pretty interesting, but I can break it down into two real categories when it comes to that of skill-based matchmaking: the solo experience and the team experience, because both of them were widely different. And obviously it makes sense when you're combining a lot of factors together. When it's playing as a team, it's going to feel like a different experience than when you're playing by yourself, but there's a lot of stuff that we uncovered. Now, before we go any further, if you guys enjoy content like this and want to stay up to date with everything Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Warzone, gameplay, news, leaks, whatever it might be, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It means the world to me. We upload almost every single day here on the channel, so enjoy the video, boys. So for us to understand skill-based matchmaking, we have to dissect what skill-based matchmaking is. And for a dumbed down, simplified version, it is that a player should play against people that are of similar skill level, if not a little bit better and a little bit worse, not drastically on the scale. So if we took a line and we drew it straight across our screen and we put people here on the left that are really bad and people over here that are professionals, and you say you fall in the middle that is an average player, you should be playing against people that are slightly below average and slightly above average on an average basis of games. Now, that's the simplified, dumbed down version of it, but where Call of Duty takes it to the next extreme is pretty crazy. If I was to take the average casual Call of Duty player, sit him down and talk to him about skill-based matchmaking, most of the time they probably would not understand what I'm talking about. Where back in the day, if you're like me and you grew up on Call of Duty, they used to joke and say, take it easy on the Christmas noobs, because we looked forward to Christmas every year because the player pool was much worse than the original people that bought the game at launch that were much better at the game and looked forward to the game. But if I sat the casual player down and said, hey, tell me what you know about skill-based matchmaking, they're not going to know much. They're not going to talk about much. But if I took the average Call of Duty player that likes the game, researches the game, plays the game more often, puts a lot of time and effort into the game, they're probably going to tell you that they hate skill-based matchmaking. Activision keeps skill-based matchmaking inside of Call of Duty, mainly because it's not really just skill-based matchmaking, it's profit-based matchmaking. And I don't mean they're just making a ton of money off of it, but they're getting replayability out of their players. So if the average person who comes home from work plays in a couple good lobbies and does really well, plays in then two lobbies that they do bad, but then on that third following lobby after that starts to play well again, the likelihood of them playing the game again increases. And when it comes to a business, the likelihood of them playing the game more often and sinking more time into it leads to them spending more money on the game, aka bundles, battle passes, anything of the sort. So whether we want to admit it or not, the casual player makes up 99% of the Call of Duty community. The streamers, the content creators, the professionals, they don't make up the majority of the community. The game will never be catered towards them. That's why skill-based matchmaking is a thing. So let's get into what and how skill-based matchmaking truly works. So when it comes to the solo experience, this is where things are different. For someone like me who goes to get gameplays and stuff and plays a little bit sweatier and tries a little bit more inside of Call of Duty, I noticed my lobbies after 2 to 3 games were getting extremely sweaty in the beta. Now, that could be because of the player pool being a lot less than the actual release of the game, but it also could be because of region locations. So I'm going to put a picture here on screen in a second of Modern Warfare 3's known servers across the United States, and this is going to get really interesting. So on screen here is a dedicated server picture from NetDuma. NetDuma is a router company, so they're pretty well good at geolocation and stuff like that. That's getting pretty advanced, and that's going to explain a lot here. When I'm playing solo, I'm from Ohio, so I'm primarily in this Columbus area, correct? So I'm right here in Columbus. My ping on average when it comes to Columbus is roughly about 27 to 37, depending on what time of day it is, who I'm playing with, how many people are online at home, so on and so forth. But when it comes to skill-based matchmaking, if I'm not region locked just to my server in Columbus, and I'm pinging to also Chicago and Washington, D.C., the games have been getting sweatier as the ping goes up, which means they're looking for players closer to my skill level, which would increase the search distance to find players in the area that are equivalent or better to my skill level. So when it comes to that, it means that if the player pool is segregated to one group of people, for example, if I set my host to not search anywhere else than that Columbus server on a NetDuma geofiltering router, whatever it might be, my lobbies were way more consistent, and this is something that multiple people saw when testing this, and I saw it myself. When I go to my router and I set myself to basically just Columbus, and I'm not allowed to geolocate anywhere else than that, and my router won't ping any other servers, whether it's DC or Chicago, my lobbies were very consistent and not as sweaty. Now, the skill base was definitely still there and kicking in, and it was harder for me to find lobbies because the skill base didn't really know what to do. Now, this is the equivalent of what a VPN back in Warzone used to do, or what geofiltering and a lot of people do would cause this issue. It basically would break the skill-based matchmaking to say, hey, this guy's looking in a very, very niche location of where he wants to find his games, so we got to find people close to that skill level, and eventually the server times out enough to say, hey, can't find enough people, let's just fill it. Boom. Fills that void, and we go from there. Now, this is where things got even more interesting, was when you got into a party. When you got into a party inside of Modern Warfare 3, and I'm saying a party is the size of 3 or more, it went haywire, especially if you picked people that were on a different level of skill. We had 5 people in my party. It was me, 2 of my friends that played Call of Duty a lot, and 2 of my friends that were really bad at Call of Duty, and I was hosting. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because back in the day, if you would have noticed on Warzone or Modern Warfare 2019, or even maybe like BO4, you could push it back, or World War II, even that far back, if the really good player hosted, you played against people closer to his skill level, where it was kind of peer-to-peer connection or just a little bit of skill base. But in Modern Warfare 3, at least in the beta, when I hosted with my bad friends, the people were awful. I mean, the players were absurdly bad, and it makes absolutely no sense. It just, to me, we played, I thought maybe it was something that was going to be 1 to 2 games where we would get that, but we had about 4.5 hours of straight games of people who I should never be in a lobby with unless I'm reverse boosting. So that's where skill base gets really interesting, as it gets broken the more people and the more skill level that goes into it. So that means that there's more than just connection based when it comes to skill based matchmaking. Obviously, they're taking into consideration how many kills you're getting, and taking into consideration how well you play, how much, how good your internet connection is. Everything like that comes into consideration. But it seems to be that once you're in that party system, it just breaks it completely. And to me, I'm going to be very blunt and honest here. If you reverse boost for content, I guess I understand it. I will never do that. I don't like it. I think it's dumb to say you're really good at a video game and then VPN or reverse boost for lobbies. I think that's stupid. I mean, it's to each their own. I get it. It's a job. You don't want to sit there and have to try your asses off. But I build a community around people that don't care how well the gameplay is perceived. If I do well enough, it's fine. If not, they're there for the general information, or at least to see what the video is about. So if you reverse boost, more power to you. But I won't be doing it very often. So when it comes to skill-based matchmaking as a whole inside of Call of Duty, we need to test it when the game fully launches, because I believe the player pool will be drastic enough that it's going to be toned down a little bit more. That's kind of all we got on skill-based matchmaking. It's an analytic, deep, just crazy dive into something that we have a lot of information on, but little to no information on the other hand as well. But let me know down in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about skill-based matchmaking? Would you like to see it removed out of Call of Duty completely? They'll never do that because they have to protect the casual player base, but toning it down a little bit. I think once launch happens, we'll probably see them tone it down a little bit, or at least it'll feel that way because of the player pool being more broadened. But let me know. And I love you guys to death. I appreciate all the love and support recently on the channel. You guys have been crazy. A lot of time went into this video, so if you made it to the end, make sure to put that down in the comment section below, because I really do and truly appreciate you guys putting as much effort into watching the video as I did into making it. So I love you guys to death. I will see you guys in the next video. Deuces, boys.